Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 19th day. Tomorrow's official day of spring, folks, and I'm glad. Had a rough start, though. The weather has been better here in the Middle Tennessee area. Got a great show with you for tonight. Going to talk about the Jets. There's cautious optimism, and I'll explain that in a little bit of detail. They have signed MikeWilliams today. The cast-off or the cut receiver due to cap casualties and injury history, mainly cap casualties from the LA Chargers here. Added some offensive lineman help, much needed over the weekend. Going to talk about that as well. Kenny Pickett, was I just believing the pre-draft hype, on Kenny Pickett? Obviously, Justin Fields, going to go over that. What's the future for Pittsburgh? What's it look like for him? What does it look like for the Pittsburgh Steelers here? And a few other news and notes here on Sports Scope. Let's take our first and only break. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Also, tomorrow, I'll give you my Final Four. I'm going to study this thing tomorrow. I've got a few teams. Obviously, that I think they're going to play well and go far, but I'll give you my Final Four tomorrow. I do think college basketball is a good sport for about 3 weeks, starting this Thursday, right? Going to do that. Got a few other things I want to talk about. Now, Thursday, got some work issues to take care of. Excuse me, folks. I had to turn the air back on when I put this studio lighting in. I put this coat on. Actually, it gets a little warm in here, but I turn the air on. Sometimes a little dust comes out of there because I go from heat air, and it makes me sneeze sometimes. So, plus Thursday, it's the start of the tournament, so I'll do a replay here, and we've got some work issues coming up Friday. A lot of this stuff is just sacrificed to keep the program going and to keep this program moving. So, if you're seeing moving forward and growing, I appreciate everybody commenting on some of my clips that I put out yesterday. When I'm not doing the show, you'll see different clips of different programs put out. Remember, folks, I'm a one-man show, working a full-time job with overtime. Worked 24 hours last weekend, so additional to my normal full-time during the week. Not to just if you're wondering why I haven't had a show and all the misses and stuff, it's just part of the process. So, anyways, back to the Jets. All right, now, this like I put in this title. Reason for caution, optimism with the New York Jets here. All right. They've added Tyron Smith was the big one here. Signed him. Very good. Has been injured. I thought he would be a late signing somewhere. If not, he didn't come back to the Cowboys for a dirt cheap price there due to his injury history. 8-time Pro Bowler. Signed him. Looks like about $6.5 million. The rest of it is incentives and everything for the 33-year-old left tackle, former Dallas Cowboys. I like that pickup. Also, last week, they traded for, what's this guy's name? Moses. Right tackle Morgan Moses out of the Baltimore Ravens here. I tell you what, folks, I don't know what it is with the Ravens, but they've lost 3 offensive linemen this week. They routinely move offensive linemen without any hesitation. They traded I want to say Orlando Brown a few years ago for a first-round pick, for a late first-round pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. Filled him back in, no problem. Brought Ronnie Stanley back, restructured him. Now, of course, now they, like I said, again, they've lost 3 offensive linemen. One was signed in a trade in Morgan Moses to this Jets team. Okay, to this Jets team, and of course, the Jets signed former free agent Baltimore, a former player for the Baltimore as a free agent, John Simpson here. So you got 3 pieces added on to this offensive line, and of course, the big story today was Mike Williams, the tall wide receiver, deep threat, and end zone threat here. Player coming off, and now he is coming off this ACL, the 29-year-old star player there. He was middle of his second contract there from the LA Chargers. Now, Williams, he's an often injured player. I said the Chargers should definitely cut him. I knew he was going to be a 20-something plus $1 million cap hit. I knew they were over the cap. I predicted that there is a chance they could do away with him and both Keenan Allen. Of course, Allen's been gone. That's last week's news. But now we have Mike Williams with this Jets team alongside of Garrett Wilson. Looking at this, by the way, Mike Williams, yeah, he only played 3 games last year, 18 over the last 2 seasons here. For those of you all see that $15 million up to $15 million. Haven't got the final numbers on there. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm hoping that's like 5 or 6 guaranteed there with this risky play with the Mike Williams there. But you're putting him across from Garrett Wilson. I mean, that is big with Breece Hall. A lot of speed there with the Breece Hall. The fact that they did sign Mike Williams today with this offensive line. And again, you're looking at players here that let me give you the starts on Tyron, because this is the big deal. Because if Rodgers gets hurt, just like this past year, everything's going to fall apart. You got Rodgers, 40 years old, coming back from Achilles. Said he could have pushed and came back in December. So I believe him. I believe he's going to be 100%. But this idea that you hold your breath here, you hold your breath here and just hope that Smith is healthy, Now, Morgan Moses did play 17 games last year. That's your right tackle here. So you throw in Tyler Conklin. Alan Lazard's still on the team, actually. Garrett Wilson, Joe Tippin now at center. They move Elijah Very Tucker to right guard. So this is a formidable offensive line. This is a much more formidable offensive line here. Again, you just hope the Williams money is not too high. I don't think it is. They couldn't be that idiotic. Joe Douglas has done a good job here, other than the Zach Wilson miss here. And, of course, last year, putting into Dwayne Brown, 38 years old, coming off of an injury himself. We didn't play that much last year as well. So, anyways, going to the draft here, Mel Kiper put out an updated draft. He has this Jets team taking Brock Bowers at number 10. Okay. Yes, he's a star player. That would be a good piece for an Aaron Rodgers to throw to. But when you do not have a second round pick, folks, and you've got the 33-year-old Tyron Smith there, go ahead and draft that extra balanced player there. Whether you're sitting there at 10 and a Fashanu falls from Penn State, or even a Joe Alt. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tennessee, if they're on the board at 7. By the way, now I'm reading that there's a possibility Now I'm reading there's a possibility that the Arizona could end up trading. Arizona could end up trading down, and Minnesota trading up to 4 and getting J.J. McCarthy. So we're talking Caleb Williams, number 1 to Bears, Jalen Daniels, number 2 to the Commanders, Drake May, number 3 to the Patriots, and number 4 could be perhaps in a trade up, J.J. McCarthy. So that pushes everybody else down. Malik Neighbors to, this is Mel Kiper's, and this is probably about right. Malik Neighbors to the Chargers at 5, Rome Odunze at 6, the Giants. So the Giants probably should just take the best player available at this point. And then Joe Alt, 7, the Titans. And then, of course, they would get Brock Bowers at 10 here. So and this is going in with other draft picks here. So essentially, again, if you're a Jets fan, I'm telling you, the team that won the Super Bowl did not have rock stars at wide receiver. They had an aging 34-year-old tight end. They still found a way to win with defense, a good running game, smart quarterback play with elite short passing here, okay? We all know what Breece Hall can do, okay? I still say that they should be a short passing, running team, play action, not too many throws, over 30 yards, even with the Tyron Smith here. But that being said, the Jets, with limited resources and the fact that they do not have a second-round pick, they've had a good offseason. But if they get too caught up in the skilled players and go out and draft the Brock Bowers and Rodgers gets hurt again within the first 4 games, all this is out the window. Joe Douglas may get fired. I know Saleh will be fired, and the Jets will be starting over. You know, again, they do not have that second-round pick. I know it's a deep tackle draft, but there's other teams that's going to pick up. Like, for instance, this guy, I think his name is, let me see if I wrote his name down here. What's his name? Talise, out of this Oregon State player. Could be a swing type of player here. Would not be surprised if one bit. The Jets watched him at the they were pretty high on him at the Senior Bowl. His name is he's from Oregon State here. Talise Fuga, swing tackle, mainly played at right tackle, but was very impressed with the Jets at the Senior Bowl. Some notes I made to myself here. David Bakhtiari is available. Now, Bakhtiari would obviously be a backup. I mean, the guy's been hurt. I'm surprised he hasn't retired. Green Bay, like they should, released him last week. Hasn't played much since really the 2020 season here towards ACL, and really cannot stay healthy. He's a backup at best. He may actually retire at any minute, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I mean, so you look at the Jets, you're going to have a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Yes, they did lose Huff as an edge rusher, but McDonald, there's a reason why they drafted him as high as they did. We know about their back end defenses, which one of the better back end defenses in the league. We know about Breece Hall, the third-year player there, came back strong last year. So there's a lot to be have an upside about. But again, don't get your eyes big if you're a Jets fan and say, hey, let's just go out and get some more playmakers here. Because remember, Rodgers, 40 years old, folks, coming off an Achilles injury here, would not be a good idea to be playing musical chairs with offensive linemen here. So, lot to think about. Jets could be a sneaky playoff team if they do get a Talise Funga out of Oregon State. Or what if a Joe Alt does fall to them? Or a Fashanu falls to them out of Penn State. Joe Alt. Now, again, I think Joe Alt's probably going to go to Tennessee at 7. Not unless Denver or Minnesota can't quite get up to 4, and they end up going up to Tennessee at 7, which they could because Minnesota's got an extra first-round pick. So a lot of what the Jets' immediate future here is what they do with their first-round pick and how they handle this process. And obviously, it's these guys staying healthy. Definitely want to have depth at those positions, and how much of the ball are they going to run? Because I think the Patriots are going to really fall off next year. The Bills have lost their entire secondary. Now, they could get young and hit some home runs in the draft. Possibly. They still got an all-world quarterback. Probably will still be favored, even with all this. Look at all the players the Dolphins lost. They lost a lot of players, including Christian Wilkins, who went to the Raiders. So, realistically saying, at 40 years old, we know what Brady done at 40. He's winning Super Bowls post 40. It depends on how they treat their offense and don't get too pass happy, past when Rodgers needs to. But Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, even if you get 11, 12 games out of Mike Williams, you could play another receiver off him. They might be able to find another guy in the third or fourth round in the later rounds of the draft here. We shall see. Maybe another player. Is it Tyler Boyd? Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati still out there as a wide receiver. So Tennessee may work out a deal and send Trayvon Burks up there, for another pick. Who knows? Who knows with this particular team? Corey Davis may come out of retire. He's supposed to get reinstated. Now, I don't think he's technically listed right now, but I did read that he's wanting to get reinstated with the Jets. But none of that has went official yet because it did not come up on their but he's a very talented player. He can slide in and be a 3 here. I want to see if he's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, folks, he is not listed there on their depth chart. Williams is a very good player. You still got Xavier Gibson, who had some flashes last year. So there's a lot to be optimistic about, and I did not expect them to have this type of offseason in New York. So kudos to the Jets, again, with caution. All righty then, switching the gears here. Okay, this happened over the weekend. I tell you what, folks, I didn't see – Pittsburgh would have been one of the last teams I would think that a Justin Fields would go to. Fields, I just don't know why he wanted to go to Pittsburgh of all places, a team that's had problems offensively moving the ball over the past few years. Although I did see some stats there that their offensive, their pass blocking's gotten better. 10th, 17th in running. That was not the case in the 2022 season. They still won 10 games, but they moved off their starting quarterback. Okay, and I'll talk about him here in a little bit. But Fields, you would think that he sees what I see. Okay, he's in the same league. He watches the same league and plays in the same league that I watch and follow with you every day and talk about throughout the offseason during the regular season. Since 2019, every team in the Super Bowl, both teams, folks, going back 4 years, we're talking 8 teams here, okay, have all had offensive background head coaches, okay, offensive-minded head coaches. Why would you want to go to a Pittsburgh? I just do not get that. I think maybe he's looking at Arthur Smith, and he's looking at a possibility of an aging Russell Wilson getting hurt. I can see that. But wouldn't you try to work out something with that? I know this is a divisional foe, but Minnesota has, without any hesitation, traded within their division. They've only got Sam Darnold there. Kirk Cousins is a Atlanta Falcon now. Okay. I'm not sure if I believe this per se. Maybe the agent is just putting this out there. Nobody's really, and these reporters don't really have the gall in them because they want to keep access, like an M. Rappaport, and I like in. I like it. Not really. I don't really care for Adam Scheffner, but I like him. But they're not going to dig and see. Okay, really? That four other teams interested in Justin Fields? Which four were they? Oh, they're not allowed to say. Okay. And Ron Poles probably just wanting to do away with it and be done and move forward with the Caleb Williams and this new team. They've got the first overall pick and the 9th overall pick. He don't really care at this point. I get the sense that maybe Fields' agent's lying. They're not going to give the team names. Nobody else has said anything about it. Now, if they have, I haven't seen that. Now, maybe if somebody's seen something I have not. But why would you want to go to Pittsburgh? I mean, I would want to go to an offensive-minded head coach, even if he had a quarterback, somebody like that. Man, he couldn't get in as a backup with the Falcons. You know, in Minnesota, work out something there. I know that's a divisional foe, but maybe Minnesota would have given you a 3rd-round pick because it is in division. There is a fear that he could get good under O'Donnell, who's really good. Okay. But that's just not the case. That's not the case. I want to say that Josh Dobbs ended up signing somewhere. I want to say he signed with McVay or somebody like that. Shanahan signed somebody. Seattle. Who was it? McVay ended up signing Garoppolo. So, Fields is what he is right now. The guy's 4th quarter rating was the same as Zach Wilson, and the Jets can't give him away. When these guys drafted in the same draft here to, was it 2 or 3, 4 years there? And neither one, neither one, I think that was 3 years for Fields, has done anything here per se. So, in matter of fact, they've lost Deontay Johnson here. So now you're depending on Arthur Smith, who is good with the quarterbacks here, as a coordinator, was very good with Tannehill. Him and Tannehill, remember Tennessee 2019 got to the AFC Championship game here with Tannehill. Really resurrected his career. He was considered a cast-off then from Miami. And so you're looking at him still. Russell Wilson, like the Kenny Pickett, he's still supposed to have the edge there to get this starting job. Plus Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, this was yesterday, reported that maybe Wilson could possibly get a contract extension from Pittsburgh. And I'm thinking, why? With his injury history, Denver's paying $39 million to take him away. By the way, what about Denver? Why not? They needed a quarterback. They got Jared Stidham. He didn't pay. Sean Payton didn't want him, or he didn't want to go to Sean Payton. So it's a lot to be thought about with this Justin Fields deal here, and how this is going to work out. Like a Zach Wilson, and I'm going to get to Kenny Pickett in a minute. I know we talked about him Friday. I talked about him Friday with Carlos Madden, New York, or Chavez. But these guys are going to have to prove themselves all over again. Fields, big 5-star guy coming out of college, went to Ohio State, played national championship game, lost to Mac Jones and that loaded Alabama team in that 2020 game there in 2021. He was drafted in the 1st round, wasn't the 1st overall pick, drafted by the Bears. Now, mind you, folks, this general manager, Ron Poles, he did not draft Justin Fields. Pace did, right? The other general manager drafted Fields. And my thing is, they were having regrets after this season because they had the number one. Yeah, I know DJ Moore, good pick. Now they got the number 1 pick this year. But all this stuff doesn't mean anything if you pass up on a franchise quarterback. I mean, as far as right now, Stroud looks like the man. Most of us thought Stroud, being the taller player, okay, a little bit more durable, numbers very similar, would probably be the better player than a Bryce Young. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. You know, he ends up going, what was it, number 2 to Houston and wins Rookie of the Year. And now some people think, and I'm not going to rule it out, that maybe they can get to the Super Bowl, possibly Houston as the AFC. They're a possibility with the Cincinnati. So the Bears are thinking, man, we should have moved. And I think that was a long, hard, tough discussion. And I'm sure Poles, maybe years after he retires, when they do their documentary, right, like they did with the New England Patriots, like they did with them, and probably saying, man, I wish I'd have drafted Stroud. I wanted to, you know. Either way, it's going to be Caleb Williams. We already know that. But so part of me, I know why Fields took this deal here. This team's going to need a wide receiver. They've got George Pickens. He's hit and miss at times. He seems to have a big upside. Okay. They traded away Deontay Johnson. Him, like a Chase Claypool, had some talent, yes, maturity issues. Not as bad as Claypool, who's really a bad bust with the Bears, right? You know, Steelers, man, just, you know, either way. So you simply have Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin here. Van Jefferson, a former Rams receiver here. Calvin Austin, George Pickens, and of course, Freiermuth is really good at tight end. That's a hit. It's really Freiermuth and Pickens. They're probably going to have to draft the one in the early rounds here at the wideout position. Historically, they've done good. Now they've got a new general manager who's only been there about 2 years. I think this is his second season here. But you know, you got a Fields, you got a Russell Wilson who may battle it out. Maybe Wilson does get hurt, and then you put a Fields in there. By the way, Mike Tomlin has still not signed an extension. Now that could get done this summer. Sometimes the coaches are the last to be done. Talking about all this, or this is basically a prove-it year for Tomlin, okay? They fire Matt Canada, who is it, Joe Brady, did not go with the backup offensive coordinator, the interim, whatever you want to call it. Did away with, he didn't. So they hire Arthur Smith here. No playoff wins since 2016. You look at the competition here. You look at a team like a Buffalo Bills, a Kansas City. They're head and shoulders better overall than this Pittsburgh team. Okay, look how strong a division you're in. You're in a division with Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson just won the MVP again for the a second time here in his career. So it looks like you're falling behind. Okay. It's a lot like Pete Carroll. It's a lot like Belichick, except at least he's not picking the players here in Tomlin here. So I get a sense that maybe this is his last year. This is a put. They need to win some games here in the playoffs. You know, win a game in the playoffs. That would be good. And they could possibly, again, their offensive line has improved. Pass blocking up to 10th best, 17th best at running. With Warren, but just that division, if they were in NFC South, it'd be a lot smoother. But again, it's simply, you know. By the way, yeah, like I said, Fields, I don't know if he'll ever get another shot to start again, but we'll see. As a permanent starter, I mean, we know that that Wilson could get hurt, folks, per se. All righty then. That is a we shall see approach there. Let's see here. Kenny Pickett. Okay. I'll have to admit, I'm going to do a good scope, bad scope thing here in just a few minutes. But Kenny Pickett, I simply bought too much into the player he was in college, particularly one play that got played over and over and over again, where they changed the rules for when he was at the University of Pittsburgh, when he does the fake slide, and then he's running wide open, and then I think he scores like a 40, 50-yard touchdown run here. Bought into that, got hyped up on that, went to the University of Pittsburgh. I really got more involved in looking at that particular play that was played. Remember, they changed the rules here in the college game, where you cannot fake a slide like that. If you do that, you're down. That is a dead play there. That was a Kenny Pickett play there in the college game here. The guy went to the University of Pittsburgh. He got a lot of starts there. I want to say, let me see how many starts. I want to say he even started 4 games as a freshman. The guy was 23 years old when he graduated as a college player. Yeah, 17 through 21. He's a 5-year player here, 23 years old. They changed the rule for him. He did have a 62% completion percentage. I thought, well, you know what they're missing? That they couldn't block with Ben Roethlisberger. It looked like Ben really didn't have a lot of time at all there at the end. And his wheels, I thought he was the best quarterback of that draft. Now we find out all those quarterbacks, I want to say none of them are on their teams right now. I want to say Mac Jones, same class there. That class doesn't look good so far. Then again, I may have that class. I think I'm off by a year. Either way, not a great class there. Not a great class. But you got guys like Malik Willis, who was terrible in that class. Yeah, I think that was a 20. What year was he? Yeah, he was drafted in 22 here. So you're looking at a lot of guys here that hadn't done a lot of nothing. Malik Willis won. I don't know why Willis is still a Titan. To be frank with you, why is he still on the roster? Will be all I ever seen. Maybe he'll get cut later on. Okay, so I kind of got hyped up. I got caught up into that. I got caught up into that 62% completion percentage, touchdown. This is out of college now. 81 and 32. Then and you look at him with Pittsburgh. Just 13 touchdowns last year, 13 interceptions. But that completion percentage, right at 62.6. He's the same guy, but he's with Tomlin. Okay, he was with a bad line, bad system around him, a defensive-minded head coach, but that doesn't give him the right, like I was talking about Friday with Carlos Chavez, to hold out. The guy gets hurt. He gets hurt last year. He got off to a rough start for one thing. First rough couple of games, I want to say, were they held to like 3 points at home in the opener against the 49ers, come out like a house of fire, beat them like 30-3, something like that. That was a terrible opening game. And then they got away with cheap shots after cheap shots. I might be a game or two off, but I'm talking about the Cleveland game where Nick, what's his name? Nick Chubb, gruesome injuries, just this cheap shot. The Pittsburgh, it was a Monday night game, gets away with everything. They steal that game where they got outplayed. Watson should have finished it, but they got outplayed, steal that game. And I don't think he has a terrible game in primetime, okay? But he gets hurt. You got Trubisky in there. Then you have Rudolph, who finished really well with them. And somehow they end up with a 10-7 record. That's typical. 10-7 record here. He like I said, he's injured. He's coming back. and he refuses to go in as a third string backup quarterback, emergency quarterback. Okay, for Mason Rudolph. All right, now, of course we're going back to Friday when he was traded to Philadelphia. Why didn't he want to go to Minnesota with Sam Darnold there? I think he could have had a leg up on Sam Darnold. He's a younger player. He's coming into his third year, essentially. So you can kind of say maybe they were premature on this. But judging by the way he acted, that sense of entitlement, he's thinking, hey, look, I had a great last year with the University of Pittsburgh. I did go to University of Pittsburgh. I played in the stadium. The city's behind me. I'm entitled to having this starting job. No, you're not. Was he like the 15th, 16th pick? You weren't the number one overall pick, for one thing. Even if you were, you still have to compete. You cannot leave any question as a young player, particularly one that is highly, drafted like he was, or sought after, or anyone for that nature. Any doubt that you're the guy, you play your role and you prove the coach is wrong. So he didn't want to. Obviously, Wilson, of course, Tomlin says, hey, listen, Wilson's got the league here in this thing. He's going to have the pole. We're bringing him in for nothing. This guy, yes, he's a lot older than you, but he's also got Super Bowl experience. He wasn't terrible last year at times. He played much better. Just couldn't click there with Sean Payton. But go out, and that's what I said. I was wrong, though. I said, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you won't pick it to beat him out. You won't pick it to beat him out because he's a much better athlete, a younger player, can really energize this team, maybe compete with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati and Cleveland now, who has Jerry Jeudy. I don't know why they signed him to that ridiculous extension with his inconsistency issues. And, of course, with Mari Cooper, who's playing really well with Cleveland here. And Watson, who's supposed to be throwing here pretty soon, from what I'm reading. So, and then, of course, Lamar Jackson, the guy's won 2 MVPs. Although they've lost three offensive linemen. But my thing is, Pickett, why do you want to go, okay, this guy's not serious about being a starting quarterback in the NFL? Why do you want to go to Philadelphia? Because that was your childhood team growing up? Now, he's from New Jersey. A lot of people's got it mixed up. He's not from Pittsburgh. He went to college in Pittsburgh for 5 years. He's from New Jersey, but I guess he lived in the South area of New Jersey. He wasn't a Giants fan or a Jets fan. He was a Eagles fan. They're showing some old pictures of him with the Eagles uniforms. Maybe he was a big Donovan McNabb fan back in the day or something like that when he was really young. Okay. But Pickett, why do you want to go? Do you want to play for Keelan Moore? I guess. But Jalen Hurts just signed a major extension the year before last, and it's just now going into effect. Why do you want to go there? I think Minnesota with Justin Jefferson there, Jordan Addison, he played with Jordan Addison. Kenny Pickett played with Addison. Remember, Addison played with Pickett at Pittsburgh before transferring to USC. So that would have been an ideal spot for Kenny Pickett. Now he wants to go to Philadelphia. Justin Fields wants to go to Pittsburgh for whatever reason. Why are these teams granting these players who are on rookie contracts where they want to go beats all I've ever seen? I'm sure rookies, not a rookie out there has a no trade clause on their contract. Now, this is getting more and more like the NBA every day, folks. I mean, geez. It's like nobody wants to compete anymore. Jalen Hurts, I mean, he was a shoo-in for the MVP if he don't get hurt. Now, of course, you could say that same thing about Carson Wentz, and he fell off. So maybe he knows something that we don't know. Maybe Pickett's reading between the lines. You know, you've got Keelan Moore now, the offensive coordinator. They got the new, then of course they got the new defensive coordinator over there too, with Saquon Barkley. The fact that there's a few other players that they were interested in, high in backup guys for Jalen Hurts. Maybe they're having second thoughts. Now, Philadelphia did draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. They drafted him in the second round when Carson Wentz was still coming in to his own as far as his contract extension. Now, of course, he was coming off an injury too. What's up, Nigel? Wesley Media, good day, man. Mate. Just talking about Kenny Pickett, why he would want to go to the Eagles instead of go back to what I originally started this segment with. I just think I bought too much into his college hype and too much into that storyline here. With Pickett, I questioned some of these moves here that he supposedly wanted to go to Pittsburgh. And of course, Justin Fields supposedly wanted to go to Philadelphia, and Fields supposedly wanted to go to Pittsburgh. Well, I mean, Fields supposedly turned down of offers to go elsewhere. Well, why are you granting that sort of thing? As a general manager, your job, if there's not a no trade, these guys are rookie contracts. If your job is to get the best maximum value for these players, they have to wait till they earn that type of leverage to put in a no trade clause. And maybe they're just trying to cut these guys some slack, and it's all nonsense, and they really are just going to who they thought would be the best. Nobody else really wanted these. I don't know. Nobody's saying anything. But either way, both look to be disappointing. Pickett possibly could be a stopgap guy to a borderline starter, a bridge quarterback, stopgap guy to a high-end backup, possibly with a better offensive-minded head coach, maybe a little more. But judging by his behavior, I'm not sure. Players do grow up. Players, certain things happen. I wrote off Baker Mayfield. Mayfield pushed through, and he's got a contract extension. And looking at what he did last year with Tampa, he deserved it. He deserved it. They got to the playoffs. He has a career year. They win a playoff game. They pushed Detroit pretty far, pretty hard on the road. Let's see. Let's see if maybe Pickett could have a Baker Mayfield type of comeback. Fields, very raw. Much stronger player, better athlete. You got to play quarterback in this league. At the end of the day, to win championship, we saw this with Lamar, and I haven't sold my Lamar stock. I've dogged this guy for years, but he finally won me over this past year. But at the end of the day, you have to throw players open to win big in this league. You have to convert third downs. You have to make big throws to win in this league. Patrick Mahomes, okay? You just have to do it. You just can't do it with athletic. You can't wing it, Kenny Pickett. You can't fake slides, Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, those guys. So interesting storylines to keep about here. Okay. Listen, so which that brings me to, I've been wrong about some stuff. I don't do good scope, bad scope, where I was right, where I was wrong on everything every week, because sometimes it doesn't pan out like that. I got this from the Colin Cowherd show where he would, where Colin was right, where it's right and wrong. Take accountability there, Wesley. Good scope. Didn't believe Fields. Remember this? Mel Kiper was told at the beginning of the year that possibly the Falcons would give up the number 8 pick for Justin Fields. I said, no way. And of course, I was right. He gets a 4th round in 25 at best if he plays 51% of the snaps. At best. That's if he can beat out Russell Wilson or if Russell Wilson gets hurt. All right. Otherwise, I think it's like a 6th round pick. Not even this year. It's next year. Get out of here. Okay. What was wrong? Bad scope again. Like I just mentioned, maybe Kenny Pickett was. I know it was. Kenny Pickett was. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Kenny Pickett was more of a storyline, guys. Played at Pittsburgh University. They changed a rule because of him. He's a great athlete. They had the bad offensive line at the time. But really, the guy was, pretty average quarterback. And 13 touchdowns, 13 picks. Not a bad completion percentage. And he's a lot more mature than I thought he would be. Being 23. Coming in the league, man, you got to be ready to play. You got to be a grown-up. You got to be a man upstairs. You cannot be pouting and stuff, not wanting to be the third warm-up, the emergency quarterback. You got to play your role. Coming back from injury. This was a story that came out last year when he got injured, and he wasn't playing well before he got injured. Anyways, okay. So I think I bought more into the hype here. Okay, with him. Good scope. Really thought that New England, Washington, Chicago would start over at quarterback. And, of course, we know what happened. Chicago just got rid of Justin Fields. New England trades away Mac Jones. I can't even remember. What did he go to? Jacksonville? Trades away Mac Jones. Out of all these guys I've been talking about, I thought maybe Mac Jones getting to the playoffs as a rookie, maybe I said this the other day, Atlanta should have gave him a shot. They got him for $2 million instead of 43 for 2 instead of 40 plus for Kirk Cousins. But go figure. I wasn't right there, But of course, Washington, they trade Sam Howell to Seattle. And of course, I just mentioned Fields has been dealt with. So that's going to be quarterback. Eventually, next month, or sooner than later, I'm going to start giving you my mock draft, okay? Thursday of the draft, folks. Make sure and tune in, Nigel. I'm going to be with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. We're going to go over the draft. The first 10 picks. We'll stream live here. We'll do the first 10 picks of the NFL draft here. And I'm telling you right now, my guess, these first 3, obviously Caleb Williams to Chicago, number 2, although some of the mocks don't have it. I think Jalen Daniels to Washington. I think he fits in exactly what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do. I think he fits exactly what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do in Washington. Jalen Daniels out of LSU. And, of course, Drake May with looks more like a pro-style type of offense in New England. I think Drake May is going to go 3rd. So it's going to be quarterback. And I was right here about that. Did I do any more here? I think I just did that many. Okay. Let's see. Oh, a few other notes. Chase Young. Is Chase Young that the other big player not named Jadeveon Clowney? You don't want to call him a bust, but at this point, yes, underwhelming career. Big, got the nice physique, long arm, strong cut guy, and he's just not a solid football player like a great Aaron Donald. You know, Aaron Donald don't look nowhere near as big as a Chase Young. Chase, workout warrior, former number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State. Well, they've had some great pass rushers. The Bosa brothers come out of Ohio State right around the time that Chase Young comes out. It's been a week into free agency, and Chase Young just now. Why does he sign with the Saints? The 49ers traded for this guy, and they didn't re-sign him. They let him sit there. You know, if he was a house of fire in practice or on the field, you would think they would have gave him like a 3-year deal. He signs like a $15 million deal with the Saints, who are probably going to fire Dennis Allen this year. I guess he probably got – I don't know why he would want to go to the Saints. Why wouldn't he go to a contender, you know? Somebody with a little bit more of an upside here. But it's he's pretty close to bust territory. I know it's a lot of this has been injury for Chase Young, but number 2 overall pick team with Brock Purdy, who they're not paying nothing in San Francisco. They could have found a way to keep Chase Young. You know, he wouldn't kick it. I'll tell you this. Chase Young stays on the market for a week, and right at his prime, he's like 25, 26 years old. He's still he's nobody picked up his 5th year. He's been in the league for 4 years, folks. You know, the Commanders didn't pick up his 5th year option. Washington didn't sign him to nothing. You know, okay, and then you look at a guy like it's 30-plus-year-old Khalil Mack. Instead of just cutting him outright, the Chargers decided to go ahead and restructure his deal and keep him there. You know, so you know he looks like like I said, Clowney. Clowney is a free agent again. Clowney went to Tennessee, underwhelming as a free agent. Went to Cleveland, did okay, didn't re-sign. Went to Baltimore. He's now another free agent again. You know, another guy, long arms, looked like Javon Kearse, had one great play in a bowl game where he knocked a running back's helmet off of his head in a bowl game, and it's like a big highlight. But play in and play out, this guy gets moved. He has leverage problems. Is Chase Young that guy? You know, is Chase Young that guy? You would think they would take a chance on him if they thought he could play better. MikeWilliams, the Jets took a chance on him. He has injury problems, but we know he can play when he's healthy. Nigel says, NFL draft, our current champion is going to lose a lot of troops here. How do you see the Surly Cup will affect them? NFL draft that are current champion. I'm not sure. Now, if you're talking about the Chiefs, Nigel, there was a report today that I was reading on the internet, salary cap. Okay, yeah. There was a report today that the Titans offered the Titans. Here we go. This guy, Cortland, this analyst for Bust Nation out of here in Tennessee. I don't know how accurate this is, but I'll say this. This looks pretty feasible. L'Jarius Sneed, who has have one of these franchise type tags on him, their star cornerback here. The Tennessee Titans here to Nashville offered a 2025 third round. They don't have a third round pick this year. They offered a 2025 third round pick and 4 years, $80 million extension to L'Jarius Sneed. Arguably, he is the best cornerback on the market. He's young. He would be really good for Tennessee. this site says, I've been on the record saying Tennessee could offer a third-round pick by trading back from the 7th spot. Seems like Kansas City is trying to probe Snead's value in operating rather than operating in good faith here. We'll see about that. Titans have a second-round pick. That's the 39th pick overall. The Colts are also interested in Snead. I don't know if you want to pay 2 cornerbacks because they've got McDuffie there too with Kansas City. Something still could happen with Snead before the draft. So that's my issue with them. Obviously, they gave a huge amount of money to Chris Jones. 2 more years than I would have given Chris Jones, as good as he's been. I would have gave him about a 3-year deal. He's 29. They gave him a 5-year deal. We'll see how that goes. Now, this deal did not go through. I was talking about with Snead, but the Colts and the Titans have bit. Tennessee definitely needs another corner. They signed a doozy way from Cincinnati. Used to play with the Cowboys, so they're looking for another corner. Still got plenty of cap room left. They're one of the highest teams with the most cap room coming in. So we'll see how that plays out. That's a big dominoes to fall. Justin Simmons, former Denver Bronco, safety's a big domino to fall as well. They saved $18 million. He was arguably the best safety in the game at one time. Still got plenty of years left in him. Probably asking a lot of money. Probably being picky where he wants to go. It's not that people don't. And plus, it's Xavier Howard, 30-year-old player out of the Dolphins. That's a cornerback. Maybe a Titans pick him up, sign him. They don't have to give any draft compensation for him. Those are players to monitor over the next few days. Tyler Boyd, there's some receivers out there. But a big one went today. MikeWilliams, cautiously optimism if I am a New York Jets fan. My friend Kareem Blackston may be on tomorrow. We'll talk about the Titans here, but I have not heard back. I'm not sure if he is or not. But either way, I'll give you my Final Four tomorrow. I know we got the tournament coming up on Thursday. Break that down, and we'll see what else comes about, which there's constant breaking news in the NFL. Thank you, Nigel. If you guys like the show, please share the show on your social media links as much as possible. I would greatly appreciate that. Other words, I'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, here on Sports Scope. Have a good night, everybody.